the Defense Department works to prevent adversaries from co-opting American technology and using it against the U.S. One aspect of this mission is monitoring and preventing hostile foreign government investments in American technology companies. At the forefront of that effort is David Rader. He's Deputy Director of the Office of Foreign Investment Review at the Defense Department. David, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Why might an adversary look to invest in American technology, and how widespread is that practice?
Yeah, I would equate it to kind of stealing from your classmates' answers on the test. We put all the hard work in on the R&D side, the research and development, the innovation. We fund it, we test it, we evaluate it. And once we get to that 90% solution or even the 100% solution, it's a great time for the adversary to swoop in, take our best tech, and then use it against us or use it in their own interests. We see it pretty widespread. We have a lot of controls in place to protect it and mitigate against it. But as you can understand, government is small relative to the global economy and the global workforce, including the American one. And so it's a constant game of cat and mouse with a lot of challenges for us.
So you lead the Defense Department's effort to really reinvigorate and expand investment monitoring. Can you tell us how you go about doing that?
Yeah, and so there's a process called CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. That's a very strict and narrow regulatory approach to screening inbound investments. And so we've taken a different or supplementary approach to that. Used to be a banker by trade. I brought in a lot of data scientists and finance professionals to really understand what makes the market move. And then, partnering with our intelligence colleagues or policy colleagues to look at what China is looking at, what Russia is looking at, what Made in China 2025 says. Because we, instead of thinking of America, what we need to protect, we need to also recognize what our adversaries or our competitors are going after. And so we make that a priority, and then we kind of marry these two worlds together to really get a narrow group of technologies and companies and capabilities that we're looking to protect and defend, as well as promote.
I know a lot of your work might be classified, but can you give us an example in general terms, how you identify an issue and then how you address it?
Yeah, and so indeed, most of it is classified, or it falls even into just business proprietary. We don't want to give an unfair advantage to competitors of businesses. We want to protect them as well. And so we use a lot of commercial tools. That's one of our main, inputs. The intelligence community is a great partner, as well as industry. We get phone calls from companies that say, hey, have you heard about X? Or a law firm says, are you guys tracking Y? And so we really use a lot of that information to really guide our research and our investigations and our work streams. And then for mitigation, we have a few capabilities, whether it's a CFIUS filing or some different action we would take through a different lens or partnering through the interagency. We have a lot of great authorities within government, but they're spread out, and rightfully so. You don't want a single agency to be able to control the economy. So we lean on the State Department or Commerce or the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, or the FAA. And then, we help to work together to identify risks and the best and most appropriate way to effectively mitigate and ultimately eliminate the risks.
Some foreign investments are easier to spot than others. What are some of the tactics that investors use to mask who they actually represent and what their ultimate goals are?
Yeah, they're clever. They have a lot of different incentive structures that allow foreign investors to use creative tools. We've seen a shift, I would say, from traditional M&A, hey, we're China, we're here to buy your company, to running money through different countries, through unique funds and offshore tax structures, a lot of obfuscated ownership. So when you look and say, hey, this is I'll pick on the Canadians here. This is a Canadian company trying to buy an American company. We don't realize behind that, the fund might actually be somewhere else. It might actually, have the intention from a different, larger organization. And so really trying to pull that apart and understand that what you see on the four corners of the document might not actually be the truth behind the cause there.
You're particularly interested in monitoring investments in the space industry. What can you tell us about the threat of foreign investors in space technology?
It's pretty widespread because the space industry is so commercially driven now. Historically, the U.S. government, I would say, led space in the 70s and 80s, and we've seen a shift to commercial. And now with the government being a consumer or a customer of the space industry, our relationship with it has changed. There's a lot of great people in the space industry. They're running really fast to build the next great widget, to get good services out there so we can continue to communicate and see what the world looks like and work with defense. But for that same reason, there's a lot of money and a lot of technology floating around the world that not everybody has the time to stop and look at. And then we also have a lot of interesting collaboration in the space industry with other countries, namely in namely in scientific pursuits. But of course, there's a downside of that, which is the risk of transferring out technology, which could be used against us.
So, David, smaller companies and startups might be more likely to consider foreign investments. They need the money, and it's very hard for them to turn down money, regardless of where it's coming from. I wonder what's your message to those contractors who want to protect themselves and protect national security?
Yeah, absolutely. The physics of the market obligate businesses to do their best to survive, thrive, and grow. And so, with that awareness, I would argue there's $2 trillion roughly of dry powder on the sidelines right now in the U.S. market. There's a lot of capital looking for a good place to go. So I think better engagement with government and the industry, back to our core financiers in America and around the world, our partners, is critical. I think current leadership and my boss specifically has done a great job of engagement so that companies are aware of the risks that exist, as well as the opportunities which exist that maybe government can play a role in brokering a deal or building relationships, and then get out of the way and let the private sector, let the innovators link up with the financiers who are really suited for this. There's also some government programs, Small Business Innovation Research or Defense Production Act Title III, that are meant to really help grow trusted partners. And so there's a lot of opportunities for government and the private sector to work together and make it so that the risks kind of go away on their own because they become so financially stable or robust that interest in foreign investment and foreign capital is greatly reduced.
All right, David, we appreciate your work on this, and thank you so much for being on the program.
Absolutely, thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.